Om Vang me manasi pratishthitam mano me vachi pratishthitam aviravirma edhi vedasyama anistha shrutam me ma prahasi anena dhitena ratran samdadhami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmam avatu tadvaktaram avatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today we are coming to the second mandala. Second mandala is dedicated to the Grit Samadhi, yes, Bhargava. He belongs to Bhrigu Rishi's family. Actually, he was adopted son. So here it's even written that Angirasa Shauna Hotra Paschat. So he comes from Angirasa Hotra according to some mythological stories and was adopted by Bhargava Shaunaka. Interestingly, so that both belong to this Shuna, Hotra, Shunaka, which is very difficult to translate. We have also Shunakshepa. This is a very mysterious name, which is impossible to translate. So Gritsa most probably is from Gridh, to grasp, desiring to get, or desiring to comprehend even. And Mada is the intoxication. So kind of bliss coming from comprehension. Let us say that way. So, of course, because he belongs to this Bhargava family, and we know that the Bhrigu family is original family, one of those Purva Rishaya who were doing the sacrifices of Soma Yagas to the ancient gods. And we spoke about this extensively, about Agni worshipped in two different forms. Angirasa Rishis are the Rishis of new generation who kind of brought to birth new gods, such as Indra and Brihaspati. They were coming later in time. And Bhargavas belonged to the Purva Rishaya who made ancient sacrifices of nature. And they worshipped ancient gods such as Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman, Bhaga, those transcendental godheads. So Agni can play the role in both of these formations, in the nature, burning in the nature, pushing the whole nature moving forward, to move forward, and in the heart, so which Angirasa Rishi represents. And so kind of difference between these two types of rishis and gods defined what we know as later as Asuras and Devas. So Devas belong to the new generation, whereas Asuras were the ancient gods, became the Asuras in the opposition to the Devas, as it were. And from here we have this opposition between Bhargava, who is Shukracharya. Yes, he belongs to the Bhrigu family. And between Shukracharya and Brihaspati. there are two different teachers. Brihaspati is a teacher of the gods, and also Angirasa Rishis are his sons, his flames, 7 Angiras. He's the major Angiras. And Bhrigu, Bhargava, is the Shukracharya, the teacher of the Asuras. And it has something to do also with the relation to Shiva, Rudra. It's a very complex kind of vision of the Bhrigu and Bhargavas. And interestingly enough, that Gritsamada was the rishi who first introduced 4 varnas into the system. It is believed so. From Vishnu Purana, we know that Gritsamada was the one who introduced the 4 varnas. Can you imagine? And these 4 varnas are nothing but what we know as Chatushpat and Dvipad. So Chatushpat totally belongs to this idea of the development of nature, from physical to vital, from vital to mental, from mental to the beyond, over mental and supramental. So these forms of development, Chatushpat takes all the nature into its account, and Dvipad takes only 2 major compositions of our unborn and inborn self. Yes, of our Jivatma and Antaratma, and that is Dvipad. So it deals with the representative of the divine in the midst of nature, Dvipad, and Chatushpat takes all the nature. So in this case, of course, Gritsamada is amazingly beautifully fitting into the Bhrigu parampara. So let us look what he says. This is one of the most luminous hymns to Agni, where Agni is identified with all the gods. All the gods are nothing but Agni in action. So it is Jagati, 12-syllabic meter. It's longish hymn, 16 verses. Tuvam Agne Dyubhih, Tuvam Ashushukshanich, Tuvam Adibhiach, Tuvam Ashmanaspari, Tuvam Vanebhiach, Tuvam Oshadhibhiach, Tuvam Nrenam Nripate, Jaya Se Shuchich. O fire, thou art born with thy lights flaming out on us in thy effulgence. Thou art born from the waters and around the stone. Thou art born from the forests and born from the plants of the earth. Pure art thou in thy birth, O Master of man and his race. Interestingly, the combination of both is here. You can see that Agni is born from all the formations of nature, from forests, from greenery, from stone, or around the stone. We will come to it in a minute. And he is also the Lord of the man of his race. So it is, he is Dvipad and Chatushpat. He is approached in both already in the first verse. So most probably that's why it is mentioned that he belongs, Gritsamada belonged to Angirasa and was adopted by Bhargavas. So because he has this double view on Agni immediately from the beginning. One is the human aspect of the soul in the heart, and the other is in nature. He starts with nature and comes to man. So my interpretation, O Agni, you are born with or by flaming brightness, or literally by heavenly brightness, Dyubhich. Divach, Diauch is heaven. So that heavenly light is engaged in nature. That heavenly which is beyond, which is above, is engaged in nature. So, and that is, you are flaming, or you are coming together with the heavenly light, not with the earthly light. Interesting. Tuam Ashushukkshani. Ashushukkshani is only met in this hymn. It is from shuch to flame with brightness. You are shining with purity, or purity, shuchi, shukra, from here. You are born from the waters, adbiach tuam, tuam ashanaspari. And this is interesting. You are born around the stone, not from the stone, but pari. Word pari is used, which is definitely around. And Sri Aurobindo leaves this without really reconciling it. Around the stone. What does it mean, around the stone? You remember that in the Bible, Moses discovered the divine which was burning as a flame on the stone. It was a stone, and on the stone there was a flame, which was a miraculous kind of vision. How come that the flame is staying on the stone? There's nothing to burn from it, as it were. Stone is not giving the energy, it's not burnt. So this burnt around the stone, some mysterious statement. It looks like that what it means deeply, what it means, that the symbol or the vision of the inner experience, when the inner being is discovered, it is described always as a flame which is burning by itself, which does not need food for itself to burn. I think this kind of points to that idea of being free in its own flaming, which is the symbol of the inner being. Mother also describes that flame in the heart of man as flaming and burning by itself. It's not something which is eating something to burn. It doesn't need. And interestingly enough, that inner flame in the heart, if we have a glimpse of it, we will see that it is supported. There is a food, but the food is coming from the support from above, as it were. There is a column of light, of heavenly light, which connects this flame to the heavenly flame, or source of light, rather than flame. So this beginning that you are shining onto all, Ashushukshanich, with the heavenly effulgence, as Sri Aurobindo says. And you are from the waters. Interesting word, waters. Waters are those primordial waters of existence before the manifestation was formed from them. And you are around the stone. So I'm kind of assuming that this is a deeper symbolism for the mystics to understand that the source of Agni is heaven, and his delegate here onto the stone, onto our manifestation in matter, which is unregenerated, not yet transformed matter, stone, that infinite stone, rock as inconscient. So there, in the depth or on the top of it, there is Agni flaming, which does not need any food. So I can see here kind of indication of two sources of Agni. One is its universal source, which will support nature, and the other is that flame which we represent as psychic beings. You are from the forests, you are from the greenery, Oshadhibih. You are the Lord of man, or the Lord of all the, I'm translating, of the heroic souls of man. Because Nari has a meaning of the, and Sri Aurobindo many times translates this word as the heroic soul or the heroic power of the soul of man even. So you are the Lord of man, of all the heroic powers of his soul. So all those powers, those effulgences, or those flamings, he is the Lord of everything which is shining from within. And you are born pure, not marred by your location in the midst of nature. Okay, let's move forward. Tava agne hotram, tava potram, retviyam tava neshtram, tuvam agnidh ritayatach, tava prashastam, tuvam adhvariyasi, tvam adhvariyasi, brahmachasi, grihapatishcha nodame. Tava agne hotram, Tavagne hotram, tava potram ritviyam. This is the rhythm. Tavagne hotram, tava potram ritviyam, tava neshtram tuvam agnit hritayatach, tava prashastram tvam adhvariyasi, tuvam ad Tava prashastram tuvam adhvariyasi brahmachasi grihapatishcha nodame. Now I found the rhythm. One has to deconstruct the syllables. O fire, thine are the call and the offering, hotra. Thine the purification and the order of the sacrifice, potram. Thine the illustration, ritviyam. Thou art the fire bringer, neshtram, for the seeker of the truth. Tvam agnidh, you are, the enunciation is thine, it's a prashastram. So you are the fire bringer, is agnidh, the one who kindles the fire. For the seeker of the truth, ritayatach. The enunciation is thine, tava prashastram, the declaration, tava, thou becomes the pilgrim rite, tvam adhvariyasi, thou art the priest of the word, brahmacha asi, grihapatishcha nodame, and the master of the house in our home. So here, the whole set of the priesthood, you can see all the priests are defined by these: Hotar, Potar, Ritvig, Neshtar, all these Agnidh, these are the priests, Prashastar, Adhvaryu, and Brahma. These are all names of the priests. And somewhere Sri Aurobindo beautifully describes the priesthood. Let me look into this. I took the quotation from his Secret of the Veda. Sri Aurobindo writes, no sacrifice is possible without Agni. He is at once the flame on the altar and the priest of the oblation. Of course, it's very new for us, but we have to see how independently the fire works, yes, what he does. It's his office. When man awakened from his night wills to offer his inner and outer activities to the gods, of a truer and higher existence. And so to arise out of mortality into the far off immortality, his goal and his desire, it is this flame of upward aspiring force and will that he must kindle. Into this fire he must cast the sacrifice. For it is this that offers to the gods and brings down in return all spiritual riches, the divine waters, the light, the strength, the rain of heaven. This call, this carries the gods to the house of the sacrifice. We are the house of the sacrifice. And this flame in us, this aspiration calls to them and brings them down. Agni is the priest man puts in front, Purohita, of this of his spiritual representative. A will, a force greater, higher, more infallible than his own doing, for him the works of the sacrifice. Purifying, potra, potri in this hymn. I'm just underlining these, making them visible. This office of Agni, purifying the materials of the oblation by burning them, offering them to the gods, Hotra, Potra and Hotra, whom it has summoned to the divine ritual. He first summons them as Hotar, and then he is offering what he purified to them, determining the right order, Ritvig, another office, and seasons, Ritvij, Rituij, sacrificing according to the season, conducting the progress, the march forward, marching forward, Adhvariyasi, moving forward, pilgrim sacrifice, the march of the sacrificial development. These and other various functions of the symbolic priesthood represented in the outward sacrifice by different officiating priests are discharged by the single Agni. So we, in this verse, we see all of them in one go. The one, the Agni is invoking and offering the offering. He is purifying the offering, potram. He is doing it in accordance with the proper time, ritviyam. He is leading it forward, neshtram, bringing, well, in the later ritual, it has different things, but moving forward or leading forward the flame, neshtri, from rutnid to lead. Agnid, he is kindling the flame for the one who seeks the truth, Ritayatach. He has the invocation, prashastram, or the order of the sacrifice, and he moves it forward on the path, Advariyasi. He is also the Brahma, the one who possesses the word. Brahma is the priest who does not speak in Agnihotra, but he plays the role of witnessing all what is being done. And he is the Lord of our house. He dwells within our body, within our heart. Dame, in our house, Grihapatich, he is the Lord of the house. So everything is in one verse, all the definitions of Agni, what he does, his office. And then later it becomes a ritual, and the different priests play this role of Agni, kind of symbolizing what is to be done. There is more here about Agni. I just put a few more quotations which may help us to understand better the hymn and in general the concept. Agni is the leader of the sacrifice and protects it in the great journey against the powers of darkness. The leader of the sacrifice, the transformation. Sacrifice is a constant transformation of our nature by the spirit or by the spiritual powers, gods. And he protects it also, this journey of spiritual transformation, against the powers of darkness, because they try to gobble it and to stop it. The knowledge and purpose of this divine puissance can be entirely trusted. He is the friend and lover of the soul and will not betray it to evil gods. There are evil gods who want to take advantage of it. Even for the man sitting far off in the night, enveloped by the darkness of the human ignorance, this flame is the light which, when it is perfectly kindled, and in proportion as it mounts higher and higher, enlarges itself into the vast light of the truth. Such a beautiful image, very simple, and we have the whole divinity in us which wants to grow, and if we allow it to grow, it will grow. Flaming upward to heaven, to meet the divine dawn. The divine dawn is the mother. It rises through the vital and nervous midworld and through our mental skies and enters at last the paradise of light, its own supreme home above, where joyous forever in the eternal truth, that is the foundation of the sempiternal bliss, the shining immortals sit in their celestial sessions and drink the wine of the infinite beatitude. They have a party there. They drink the wine of the infinite beatitude. By the way, that drinking wine is the symbol in the physical world of the same, getting drunk with the delight and with Ananda. And the grapes are actually symbolizing the divine Ananda. Do you know that? Mother gave the name, the divine Ananda, to the grapes. It is true that here the light is concealed, here in this world. Agni, like other gods, figures here as a child of the universal parents, heaven and earth, mind and body, soul and material nature. This earth holds him concealed in her maternity and does not release him for the conscious works of the Father. This is from Mandala 5. We will read the first hymn, or the second hymn, of the Mandala 5, where the mother holds him back and does not deliver to his father because he is not ready and she needs to grow together with him. So he makes her grow and become the queen. And once she is the queen, she delivers him as a prince to his father. This is the image. She hides him in her growths, her plants, herbs, trees, the forms full of her heats, because Oshadhi is actually the one who holds the heat. Oshadhi is the grass, the greenery, but it is full of fire inside. That's why it burns. That's why we have oil and gas, because these were the greeneries. The objects that keep for the soul its delights. But at last, she shall yield him up. She is the lower tinder. The mental being is the upper tinder. By the pressure of the upper on the lower, the flame of Agni shall be born. but it is by pressure, by a sort of churning that he is born. Therefore, he is called the son of force. There must be some pressure, some tension, some conflict, if you will, for the flame to be born. The Veda speaks of this divine flame in a series of splendid and opulent images. He is the rapturous priest of the sacrifice, the god will intoxicated with his own delight, the young sage, the sleepless envoy, the ever-wakeful flame in the house, the master of our gated dwelling place, the beloved guest, the Lord in the creature, the seer of the flaming tresses, the divine child, the pure and virgin moon, the invincible warrior, the leader of the path who marches in front of the human peoples, the immortal immortals, the worker established in man by the gods, the unobstructed in knowledge, the infinite in being, the vast and flaming sun of the truth, the sustainer of the sacrifice and discerner of its steps, the divine perception, the light, the vision, the firm foundation. Throughout the Veda, it is in the hymns which celebrate this strong and brilliant deity that we find those who are the most splendid in poetic coloring, profound in psychological suggestion, and sublime in their mystic intoxication. It is as if his own flame and cry and light had seized with a burning ecstasy on the imagination of his poets. It's amazing how beautifully it is expressed. It is Agni himself, caught the imagination of his poets and made them say that what they said. So this is the quotation from, I'm not going through all the office. We may dwell on it maybe later and look into those kind of Agnihotra office, how ritual is done and what these priests are doing. But the whole idea is quite clear, that any offering which is offered to the gods has to be purified. First of all, the gods are to be invoked, and offering is to be given to them. But before it is given, it has to be purified. It has to be brought forward. The fire has to be kindled, yes, agnit, and the journey of this constant offering in time has to be maintained. Ritvik and adhvaryo. Adhvaryo is the pilgrim sacrifice, moving forward on the path of the sacrifice. So the path is not ending with one offering. The one offering is only one step on the path. Then there is next offering and next, and so on and so forth. And the whole pilgrimage of our spiritual journey is opening up, because the fire is to be maintained and he is to grow in his intensity and reach to higher and higher levels, occupying more and more space within our life. So in that sense, the journey is to continue. And then, now we are coming to the gods finally. The identification of Agni with all the gods we know in Vedic tradition. Tuvam Agne Indro Vrishabhach Satam Asi Tuvam Vishnu Urugayo Namasyach Tuvam Brahma Raivid Brahmanaspate Tuvam Vidhartach Sachase Puram Dhya. So they start with Indra. O fire, thou art Indra, the bull of all, that are, and thou art wide-moving Vishnu, Urugayach Vishnu, yeah? With wide strides, 3 strides of Vishnu. One, to be worshipped, namasyach, with obeisance. A master of the word, Brahma, thou art Brahma, Brahmanaspate. O master of the word, O Brahmanaspate, thou art Brahma. Brahma is the priest or the creator. In the later literature, it is Prajapati, the finder of the riches, Raivid, of fire, who sustains each and all. Closely thou companions the goddess of the many thoughts, such as a Puramdhiya. Puramdhi is the Vedic imagery of the goddess, which has many concentrations, or many thoughts, or many formations of consciousness, let us say, powers focusing consciousness in different directions. It's some kind of the formation of the Divine Mother, which is acting in nature and in the higher nature, of course, and creates all possible relations between selves in manifestation. Sri Aurobindo give footnotes, wide moving Vishnu, wide sun also possible, Urugayach. Well, he follows the sayana here, the possibilities of translation, and the goddess tenant of the city, Puramdhi. Pura as the city, Dhi as the establishment, as that Dhimahi, as the focusing of consciousness, Dhyana, Dhyai, Dhyayati, thinking. Dhi is also the higher thought. It's interesting that in the Yoga Sutras, dhyana level is before samadhi. It is the level where the concentration of consciousness is seamless or effortless, becomes natural. So you can fix your consciousness upon any object of sense effortlessly. And this is the power of dhyana. So Puramdhi, you can imagine, this is the power of focusing consciousness effortlessly in many different directions. If you want, we can translate it as multitasking or multi-focusing power. So if Agni is Indra and Vishnu and Brahman, then what are we talking about? Who are Vishnu, Brahman, and Indra? What are they doing there then? It seems that only through Agni, as Sri Aurobindo says, only with kindling of Agni, that sacrifice, that manifestation of the spirit in nature can be done. So basically, all these powers are necessary, such as Indra, Vishnu, Brahman. They are there waiting to be kind of engaged. And to the degree they are engaged, the transformation is taking place. So, but to be engaged, Agni, without Agni, they cannot be engaged. It is through him and by him only that they can do their work and their purpose can be fulfilled. Otherwise, they'd have no purpose to be. There is no reason for them to be. Yes, Kinshu.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So at this point of time, can I take nature as my own brain and all these gods exist within me, but they cannot come into my nature yet until the ways is made clear for them by others. Is it a valid image?
Brain,
Nature being my own brain, my own mind, or whatever.
yeah, well, brain is a very specific location, yes. Brain is one of the instruments, physical instruments of the mind.
Right. I meant mind, yes, or
Mind,
whatever.
yes, true. Yes, of course, absolutely, absolutely. These are the powers of your own universal mind, which you did not fully yet engage. Yeah, only partially. Here and there, in time, you were engaging them, and in those moments, you were brilliant and the best. But then you fell back from them and became something more ordinary, and then you again engaged them, and again you became bright. So this way of engaging with higher powers or universal powers of our own mind, let us say mind, yeah, or our own higher nature. Mind is heaven, actually, according to the Veda. Heaven is mind. The powers of heaven, we become something else. We are growing in consciousness here in manifestation. They come and they help. Whom do they help? They help the soul, the flame within the heart, to grow. So the more they come, the more Agni can grow and occupy more and more space in our mental and vital being. Yeah? So we become more and more capable of receiving higher force, so to say. And by that transformation, we build up the instruments of knowledge here. We become more and more, how to say, receptive of the higher force. And that is the evolution, the evolution of being. We can see how we evolve. We acquire higher and higher capacity in time. It's because of this process. Agni is this engine of evolution, Purohita, put in front. He is the leader of our journey, and he is the journey.
Why I ask Vladimir is because every time these hymns mention nature, I tend to look at the nature as a subjective thing rather than an objective thing. So being subjective, it is all actually in my own mind. And I sense that all these images can be taken in their subjective form and understood little differently.
Absolutely. Subjective objective is just a mental view, yes? Kind of, we are objectivizing, that means they exist somewhere objectively there. But when we come to them and identify with them, they become subjective. So
Right.
through identity, we realize that they were never only objective. So it's just a matter of explaining this to ourselves. To orient our consciousness, because it is always, Manas has this capacity to focus consciousness on any object of sense. So by focusing on this, we forget about that. Yeah? But then we come to that and say, oh, look, it's here, so it must be objective. Because I don't remember it being there before when I was subjectively feeling this. So that was not there. So and still it is there. If it is there, then it must be objective. So it's a mental operation which is actually refocusing our consciousness on different moments in time, or different subjects, or different images of things, or even different objects of sense, if you will, so to say. Objects, again, or wanted to avoid this word. But because we are focusing it, we believe that the world exists objectively. This is how we explain to ourselves this phenomena, that we can focus on different subjects. I think so, at least. If you have some other idea, please share. It would be interesting to hear.
No, I was thinking, extending this thought, that just as we touch external objects, or we feel them, or we see them, we should be at some point of time be able to use the powers of the senses to touch subjective objects. Right now, we only, I'm getting confused. We have to be able to touch these or see these gods. Otherwise, nothing is really accomplished. Touch them with our senses. That was my thought process.
Yeah, we need to understand one thing about the gods of the Veda. These are universal powers of the divine. Yeah, they are all the divine, one divine. Every one of them has a particular functionality in this unfolding or manifestation. And because of that functionality, we gave them names which are actually reflecting that function. Yeah? If we look closer, we will see that Agni, Agre Nayati iti Agni, says Yaska. So the Agni is the one which leads forward, maybe most probably from root Aj, yeah, to move forward from here, Aja, the driver forward. This is the driving force, the engine of our evolution. Yeah? There is something within this manifestation which is pushing forward for betterment, for constant betterment. And that is the power of will, of the divine will, Agni. And it is within the name. Yeah? And then if you look at the Indra, Idandra iti Indra, as Aitare would explain, the one who splits this, who creates the crack, who enters with his lightning, with his force of the truth, into the midst of the deepest darkness. Yeah? He is the power of the intuitive mind, of who illumines the whole cave of our darkness. And suddenly we see the true images of the truth, which are hidden in the darkness. It is his functionality. So these two, Agni, who is driving forward, and Indra, who is responding to Agni from above with his cleaving force, they have to join. And once they join, the sacrifice is done. There are hymns to Indragni, Indra and Agni together, which are very powerful because they combine heaven and earth. Indra represents heaven, heavenly power of truth, of Vishnu, and Agni is the son of Rudra, who is rising from below. And these two divine forces have to join their force. And then we have the result of the sacrifice. Transformation is taking place. That's why most probably the first deity they mentioned here is Indra, because Indra is the one wanted by Agni for the fulfillment of the sacrifice.
Just to mention, Vladimir, I've been studying this hymn for the last 5 years, this one and the next one. And I noticed that the gods are mentioned in a particular sequence.
Yeah.
In Indra, then I don't know, Vishnu, and maybe this is the sequence in which they are supposed to arrive, or maybe not. But whatever it is, I noticed the sequence in order.
Yes, yes. Sequence is important because of the importance of the event, of the sacrifice, they're important. Vishnu is supporting Indra's action. Vishnu will be behind. That's why Vishnu is next. Vishnu is the background of Indra's action, or the very energy which Indra directs towards the action. Yeah? It is that vast overmental realm which Indra narrows down to his lightning. With his Vajra, he strikes through the ceiling. As Ayasya Rishi invokes Indra to break the ceiling, and the Navagva Rishis become Dashagva. They break to the 10th level, to the Svar world. Yeah? So behind Indra, there is vast Vishnu. Sri Aurobindo describes this all in The Secret of the Veda, by the way. If he would not tell us this, we would know nothing about it. We would just roam in the dark. But since he already pointed us where we have to look for the truth, we can understand that Vishnu is the major Godhead. Indra is the action of Vishnu towards the transformation. The same Rudra is the major Godhead, Shiva, but Agni is the narrowed or focused action of Rudra. So these two focused actions, Indra and Agni, are the most popular gods in the Veda. And somewhere even Sri Aurobindo says that we should not be kind of misled by this idea that Vishnu and Rudra have only few hymns in the Veda. They are still the major godheads. And because their actions are Indra and Agni. You know? So rishis are dealing with their actions rather than with the godheads themselves standing behind them. Because
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Because we arrive at them through these actions. We can't arrive at Vishnu without Indra bringing that illuminating Vajra into action. And notice Indra has Vajra and Vishnu has Vajra. Interesting, yeah? Same Vajra, which is the most powerful weapon of Vishnu. And Rudra has this Trishula, interestingly. That's, I never thought of why Trishula, Agni and Trishula, triple flame, you know. It's an action. It's that action which of Rudra which makes everything possible. The triple flame. And Vajra is the one lightning. Yeah?
So Vladimir, then where is Brahma?
Yes, we are coming to Brahma slowly. You're not in a hurry. Yes, Brahma is Brahmanaspati. Interestingly, Sri Aurobindo gives this, you will find it in the Secret of the, maybe I should find a quote, you will enjoy that quotation, where he explains that Brahman is rising from the heart, in between heaven and earth, the word which shapes the rising of flame, the drive, the energy, the divine energy is rising towards heaven, but cannot reach heaven without being formed intentionally by the word. And there Brihaspati comes from the depth of the heart. He takes the flame of Agni and directs it with his word intention towards heaven. And then the combination of three takes place. So the Shiva and Vishnu, or Rudra and Vishnu, can be combined only when there is the word rising from the heart, Brahman. From here, Brahmana, Brahmin, all these words, Brahmanaspati. Brahman is the word rising from the heart, the intention, which is forming the flame, the energy towards heaven, that they can combine. It is with this intention word, and Brahmanaspati has all the rishis as his children, his sons. Rishis are nothing but the formulation of that intention, picking up the energy of which is rising from below of Rudra and forming it into the weapon or into the means by which they can combine the divinity from below and the divinity from above. This is the word. It makes it possible.
So the transformation is Brahman.
Transformation, well,
from earth to heaven. He's in the
Brahman
middle.
is effectuating that transformation, yes. Making it faster, making it more effective. In some way, we can even think when human beings got this capacity of free will and the word, the speech, Mother speaks about this, that the capacity of the word is a recent achievement, or we acquired it recently in the evolution of consciousness. So that's why we cannot stop talking, because we enjoy the very talking. This capacity created in us the possibility of being free to choose where to go, what to do. So, and that capacity is needed for nature to speed up the evolution. Human beings are a part of nature which will speed up the evolution of nature by that very capacity of free choice, by choosing the divine, of course. Some of us choose something else, but it's temporarily. We go away from the divine, we go into the darkness. It is our choice. We have a free choice to go wherever we want. But then we realize that it was a wrong choice, so we choose the right one and go back. And that is speeding immensely evolution up. You know? Nature is using this as a device. Human beings are the device to speed up the evolution of consciousness in nature. And in that sense, Brahmanaspati is the force. The intention can be formulated in the word, and the word will form and direct consciousness and energy in the chosen direction, not where nature wants to go, everywhere, but in a particular direction, for particular purpose. Yes? Makes sense? So in that sense, of course, Brahmanaspati, Brahman, the power of the word is our major power, and the major power of all Indian tradition. Rishis, they brought to us the Veda. Yeah, Veda is this formation of consciousness in the word, which now, even today, allows us to formulate, to form our inner aspiration in the way that it gets some widening of its scope, receiving some light. So it is through the word. Can you imagine we would not have this word? Had no idea that these things exist. We would eat, sleep, and go ahead with whatever we have, yes? Of course, nature would do its work, but it will take billions of years. So she decided to create the human beings, conscious, choosing their own choices, making their own choices, right choices and wrong choices, of course. And the rishis bring right choices of the group soul to us, that we may dwell on them, tune into them, and grow in consciousness. This is Brahman. Raivid, he finds the Rai. Rai is that riches, the divine riches. Later, you will see these three in the same manner expressed in the Gita and in the Upanishads, by the way. In the Gita, we have karma yoga, the effort, the flame, the kindling of the fire, the effort, the growth, the offering karma yoga. Then we have jnana yoga, the heaven, karma yoga, earth, jnana yoga, heaven, realization of unborn self, and bhakti yoga. That is the heart, that very expression of love, of connection of heaven and earth into one being, seeing the divine everywhere in all the forms. And worshiping him not for the sake of him becoming worshipped, but out of sheer delight. Cannot stop worshiping him because the delight is beaming out of the heart. not because you want something from him. I will worship you and you give me something. Yeah? Not this type. It's more karma yogic type. But bhakti yogic type, it's more like, like Kabir or, Mirabai. We had a very good presentation on Kabir where he quoted that I write to you the letters as if you are a faraway friend, but you are here within my heart. So this is the recognition of, of the presence of the divine and the foolishness of the mind, which is writing letter. But all these elements are still here and they create this beautiful manifestation. Okay, I will stop here for today. If you have something to say, to share, please go ahead. We will continue next time. No? Okay. And I will close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Maya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.